We have a bit on the economic front to discuss around the consumers market, and as always, twice a week, we try to shed more light on what's going on in the marketplace. Yesterday, the U.S. FOMC decided to keep rates unchanged. PMI number now here, a little bit under water, 1.8% negative, as far as the FBN quest was much worse than the one released a few days earlier by the central bank. We have quite a bit from the power sector as they threaten to quit the business, drop their licenses, sell at discount, and go home and leave everyone else in some more darkness, as it may be. Pamela Basse-Diok is here to talk to us. She's one of the economists and research analysts at Financial Derivatives Company. It's good to see you again.
Yeah, thank you.
The first is not to get the power guys to drop the ball and go home. We can't afford that. Yeah, so let's start from power.
Okay. So we're seeing that gas constraints still remains a major issue in the power sector. We see that it accounts for approximately 53% of gas constraints. And then you begin to wonder that with large gas reserves of 192 million standard cubic feet, you begin to wonder, well, why do we have so much gas constraints coming from there? We also have problems or challenges with water, and as well as grid constraints. And then we have the issues, as like you said, power workers threatening to quit.
The discos.
Yeah.
Yeah, they said they're going to drop their licenses. They don't mind selling back to the government, take their money back, sell it even at a discount. That sounds like very harsh words and frustration.
Definitely. It's really sad.
Because they said they haven't made money in 5 years.
Yeah. It's a huge problem. It's definitely going to be a huge problem because we have so many sectors depending on power. I mean, we have the manufacturing sector depends on power for manufacturing of their goods and services. Different people depend on power, so it's really going to be a big issue.
At some point, even the dead depends on power because you've got to keep the dead in a very cold, refrigerated mortuary.
Definitely.
Isn't it?
Yes.
So even the dead requires power at some point. Yes, it's not only the living. Everyone will require power, steady and sustainable power from life to death. And everything is in between. Everything about our lives is about power. And you can imagine what is it for even the security consideration or conversation we're having about definitely. Whatever. How much of it can you do without adequate power and all of that. So we need that. But right now, where are we? On-grid power is up about 5%. That's good news, but not so good news when we're not even sure who is doing what and whether the power companies may eventually make good their threat to shut down, well, not shut down, quit and go home.
Yeah, definitely. It's not such a yes, it's up, but it's not really good news for us. I mean, if you're looking at the fact that we have the potential to produce more power, but we're doing so minimal. So the fact that it's up, yes, it's good, but we really need to see that more needs to be done in the power sector.
There's still more to be done. It's not one of the good news. I'm not too sure. No. So bring it on screen. Let's see what's good news a little bit. Naira and possible convergence.
Yeah, we've seen that the Naira is now at a high 25-month high of at 359 Naira to per dollar in the parallel market. But then we're also seeing that the IFX window, we've seen that it's at 362.33 Naira per dollar. So we can see there's some form of convergence going on between the two of them.
365 to 362?
Yeah.
Okay, so they're shy of each other a little bit. Yes, that's what it is. Do you think the central bank will actually see this through? Do you think the central bank is interested in a convergence? Who wants a convergence?
I mean, it's towards the political cycle is going on right now, so we definitely won't see much going on in that. Nobody would want to, or the CBN would want to make sure that Naira remains stable around this range. They also need to understand that there's what they call a resistance
level.
Yeah, level. So I think for now, typically our resistance levels around 350 to 360 Naira per dollar. So now we've seen that it's gone down the 360 point. So we're going to see Naira hover around
between the resistance and the support level.
Exactly. Somewhere
in between. That's where we see the Naira.
Yeah, we see the Naira hover around that level. So it's going to expect volatility in the coming months, but within that range. And then we'll see that it will not be so easy for the Naira to cross back up. So we'll not see the Naira go back to the high, to like 361 or 362. in the coming months. But we'll see that. But the IFX window is one thing that we really need to look at, because manufacturers depend on this window to import raw materials and then also machineries for their production.
That's their market. So
yeah,
that takes us to the PMI that was lackluster if you look at the central bank, and the one from FBN Quest in the last couple of hours was in the water.
Yes.
Once you fall below 50, you are in the water.
Yes.
That's a contraction.
Yes.
So 48.9 shows that our manufacturing last month was negative.
Yeah, it was negative, but it was higher than what it is now. It was like 49.8.
Yes.
But now
in June.
Yes, but now we're at 48.9. So they definitely need to watch out what's happening in the manufacturing sector. They're complaining that we're seeing that there's a weak demand for their goods and services really has dropped. So we're seeing that consumers are not demanding more of their goods and services. We have the issue of power coming into play. Power is affecting them as well. And then we have most importantly is the high cost of borrowing. So yes, the IFX window, they have Forex available, but then it's the higher finance charges are more expensive for them.
Yes, and that's showing in some of the industrial listed companies already reporting. Nestle, Nigerian breweries, the rest of them.
Definitely.
The finance cost is beginning to, finance expenses is beginning to show a very ugly head.
Yes, it is.
In that space. This report from FBN Quest shows that 3 of the sub-indices were in negative output, new employment, and inventory.
Yes, they were in the negative. Yeah.
Yeah, that's quite unnerving to see things down this way, because what this means is that you're not creating new jobs in the industrial space.
Definitely, that's
what it means. Folks are not hiring more. That's what the report says.
Yes, that's what it says. It's really an issue. We really need to look at that.
So the jobs market here is under more pressure than previous.
Yes, it is.
Okay, but let's take this a little bit to the crude oil space. It looks like the political space, geopolitical tensions globally is beginning to take its toll on oil prices. Again, this morning I was looking at 72, 70, whatever, 73 on ICE Brent crude. Even though it's turning green, but there was a sharp decline yesterday towards the close of business. Here in Lagos, Brent was down almost 1.2%. The U.S. oil was also down almost 1%.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. And then we're seeing what's taking place, like you said, is geopolitical tensions. But then we've also seen that there's been an oversupply in the market. We've seen that U.S. crude inventories have increased to like almost 329 million barrels per day. We've also seen that, that's OPEC. And then we've also seen that U.S. crude inventories have also increased by 5.26 million barrels per day. And then just recently, Russia too has increased.
Yeah, in the last few days.
Yeah, they've increased their production levels too as well. And then
Russia is bringing so much oil back onto the table.
Yes, since they decided to increase production at their last OPEC meeting, they've actually increased to quite high, significant levels. And then what OPEC is saying that it's increasing production majorly because of the U.S. sanction on Iran, or the possibility of them being reimposing these sanctions on Iran, because Iran is their 3rd largest producer. So that's why we're seeing an oversupply in the market. But then it's definitely weighing down on prices.
Yes, that's what happens. But again, U.S. will be the one smiling a little bit when they see OPEC getting a little bit uneasy.
Yeah, definitely.
It's good news
for them, because I mean, it means that petrol in their country becomes cheaper, and that's I think that's what Trump wants. So.
President will want petrol at cheaper prices at the gas stations, make it cheap, so that everybody's quiet. If that is okay, happy. It feeds into their own manufacturing sector. Everybody likes it. The PMI numbers come out good. The GDP comes out good, and he looks very nice in the White House. Okay, well, I can blame him. If I'm in his position, that's what I'm going to be looking at. So, where does that take us in terms of oil prices? We started the week. Tuesday, we're having the conversation about oil at a very decent 12% year-to-date for Brent. But now that has gone down to just a single-digit 9.54% year-to-date.
Yeah.
That's some of my money going down. If I had invested in Brent crude. I didn't, but again, that's my money going down if that's the case.
Yeah, but if you look at it against the benchmark, we're still like 46% above the benchmark, which people would say it's okay. But then if you look at the fact that our oil production, we're down to like 1.6 million barrels per day, and that's like 20% below our budget benchmark. So if you revenue obviously is a function of production and price. So if our production is decreasing and our price is up, it's something to check, because then we don't have our revenue space is not that large. Do you understand what I mean? So
yeah, the room is very
exactly
it's very
it's
small.
small. So
Overhead.
yes. So we really need to check on check productions and hope that prices increase as well.
Well, at 74, 72 to 74, sometimes 75, a little bit back again.
Yeah.
It's still
Highly
good.
volatile market. Yeah.
Yes, but it's still within that band,
Yes,
really, anyway.
Mm-hmm.
It's not as if anything is going to spook that to 60 anytime soon.
We hope not. Definitely.
We hope not. Even if shots are fired at Tehran, I'm not too sure. I'm sure oil prices will rather go up than come down.
Yes.
Unless there's so much jitters on the economic space globally, when production begins to taper off, and the Chinese PMI giving me a little bit of a concern this morning.
Yeah, it was down. It was down.
Yeah, it's down. Yeah, that gave me a bit of concern early today when I saw the Chinese PMI, and I said, oh my God, I hope the dragon is not taking a nap and the rest, on the rest of us. Before you know it, you have some problem with the oil price, because that looks as the only thing holding us afloat right now.
Yes, definitely. We're still largely dependent on oil, no matter what anybody says. So yes, it's really a challenge.
We're challenged. Okay. Thank you very much, Basi. I hope to see you some other time.
Definitely.
Thank you very much.